There's nothing about that in the foreign press. All the lovely buildings which shows our progress. There's nothing about that in the foreign press, but a little shanty town and a woman in a ragged dress. Bet your life it making headline in the foreign press. True, true. True, true.
Welcome, and this is Truth Media on 103.9 FM Truth Radio, and you're listening to it from across various social media platforms. My name is Christian Conte, and the program is Stop Press. Well, Stop Press is a program where they basically look at the important news events then where they happen across the country, and we bring in the people then where they around the news, the editors, the people who write the stories, the reporters, the producers, for can get a deep dive and have a conversation into how they get their stories and why these stories are making the news, and have various angles of the stories in their analysis. And one make and clear say the views of we panelists here not represent what in Truth Media stand for, but it's an opportunity for we to get different shades of opinion. My name is Christian Conte again, and this is Stop Press.
I hope that our visitors would listen to this song carefully, because it's true. They're trying their best to stop our progress with bad propaganda. I mean the foreign press. Bad things are blown out of proportion and spread all around.
Welcome to Stop Press on Truth Radio 103.9 FM. My name is Christian Conte, and inside the program today, the very first edition, the premier edition of the program, I get three gentlemen then expected on the program, and for can give you some deep dive analysis. The first person I get is a senior colleague, very senior colleague. He's been around for a while at this business, the one in this way, train way from BBC Media Action across, his work where we can always share notes with the copy notes something something happen, I get in view, say what's in the happen, how this story goes. So I might get this resource for use. Because that's one thing we try for do now, I collaborate a lot with colleagues. And my colleague here is the big man himself, Lawrence Williams. Thanks for having me, Lawrence.
Good morning, Christian. Not the try for blow me beyond when TRB. We've been practicing together, and we've been working a lot together. So, okay. I mean, we're all friends, we're all colleagues, including the big man here.
Yeah, I know.
Now, one big man again right now.
Big man
yeah. No, the other big man, now all begin practice. I mean, it's my colleague, it's my friend, but now one big man again, and he would agree that Lamin Lamdo is the only big man.
He's the only big man. Okay, thank you so much. It just joined me. I get another colleague who just joined me, and he's the very controversial Melvin Tijan Masai. The man the official in the parliament. Talk to the watcher and say, well, come on, Melvin, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Christian, and it's a pleasure to be here and to sit on this very maiden panel of a nice show, I would suspect.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me on the program. And as usual, what we don't use for do when it comes to reviewing top stories in the media, we don't use for concentrate only on the newspapers. We can be selfish. Most of we can in our print media, I make the newspapers anymore. But we want to take a bit further. We want to discuss issues. Yes, we have the newspapers all lined up. We can go into the newspapers, look at the headlines, and discuss them. But if there is a very topical issue, we're not necessarily on newspaper. I know it's not possible. Something that happened not there on newspaper, but if it's on radio, it's on social media. If it's topical, it's a national issue. then the floor is open for more discussions. But before we start the discussions proper this morning, I remember sharing the flyer for start this show, and the first question which somebody asked me, it was, why stop press? Well, let me guess, we'll get the big man. We don't see your colleague. What do you mean about stop press? Stop press was some kind of a rendezvous of journalists, them come together, get discussions and form agendas and, about the news generally. Not about agenda. When they say agenda, people that watch me. Just agenda around the news, what we cover, what we discuss, how we collaborate. But of course, stop press gets a bigger story behind. And we get Kelvin Lamdo now. We go, just give a history. I know a lot of senior journalists that they watch around, they say, oh, stop press? Waiting that idea of stop press prior to now.
Okay. Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity and indeed this na the Maiden edition. It's really good that we didn't also for beginner. The idea of stop press actually na a phrase in the journalism sector, especially in the print, where they refer to stories where they make their way into the newspaper at the nick of time minute. Maybe when I don't set everything up for go print, then something topical come up, just like I talk. Then we say, okay, let's just put this, even if we don't put all the entire story, but at least let us not miss out on this edition. Then they can run, then go do a stop press quick and put her inside. So I think now on that way we media pioneers in the 80s look and say, we forget a way of coming together, because a lot of things will happen. For example, newspaper be come out even Saturdays, we be make a very good read for people. But some things and they will be don't happen. Sometimes don't happen Friday or it happen Saturday morning. Then they want let go na the newspaper. They can rush and go put up. That's not stop press. But again, not to all man get monopoly over knowledge. Sometimes Melvin already for go print. They want put the paper to bed, for example. Don't Lawrence get something where you know say can make the news, but the Lawrence down on Monday get for come out. And this thing don't be Saturday. They can call Melvin, say, but Melvin, this thing they Lego. And remember I said that this and they said mobile phone no day. So I think now in the interest of that collaboration, we make the likes of Pius Fourier of blessed memory, the Philip Neville's, this guy for Weekend Spark, Roland, and plenty of them come together and find a comfortable spot at the center of the city, the heart of the city, where they're going to drop by and exchange them views there, so give them their op-eds there, so that when somebody they go on air, if me not they go, on air, when somebody they go to bed, if me not they go to bed now, I get something pressing, where I need for like come out, I can just pass them, then they can take them to print. So that's how Stop Press was born. We grow gradually for shape a lot of we leadership class now. We plenty of them. Now they then begin rise to fame because they may get an opportunity for interact with the politicians and the journalists them. And by then actually it was a one-party system of government where there was no official opposition.
Definitely, I feel to say no Boango. I want to actually say Stop Press gets a very significant role in politics and yes, governance.
So the media actually was the official opposition to the by then Sheikh Stevens led government. So now then they pull critical reports, the media, especially newspapers, because there was only one radio station, which is SLBS. There was only one radio station and one television station. Most of it was just the print media. And I did everybody be above. So these gentlemen of blessed memory, some even still they alive, be able to get that point say. So good politicians, they go there and mingle and pass information for because they not get the official opposition voice. So they can just go there and say, "Boy, when I sit down at this shaky they do," then pass and so then get a stop press, then they put something out. And it be reach a point when the paper one come on I do, for example, when Pius Fourier Kingdom don't see the water for Sheikh Stevens, they don't do some good front page. You know what they do? They go on short street, now the Waterloo put them there. Then we pack. They go load, they go na Waterloo, they go sit on the safu. And you know say na morning where the paper come out, when the Allah, Babeka the Allah, so this the Allah, then the fena, they sit on Waterloo. So even them now most of some civil servants they now Hastings, Waterloo, and them indeed they can't work. So when they're off, then go home. Now the tenor can go meet them and say, hey, how do you work today? They say you. So you there. Then they can tell and say that thing where you pull, it don't cause uproar. Then they look for you. Then now they tell you know, you can calm himself down. If any lawyer, then they come, they report themselves in the CID. Okay. Then send it. But thank God now, a lot has changed. Definitely. But again, Stop Press build the credential of plenty of the political class right now, even at the ruling government and the opposition. And thank God now we get a multi-party democracy. We make everything now in the media possible. Although there are small rooms for changes and development.
Definitely.
But at least it has changed. Okay. But Stop Press, you cannot talk about Stop Press and Sierra Leone where you know go make mention of certain names like the Philip Nevilles of blessed memory, the Pius Forays, the Shaka Massacres, the Franklin Bontin Davies. You know, can name a lot of them. Definitely. You know, the Shepende and all the rest of it. So, but for now, where you don't can revive Stop Press in this kind of manner, I think this is a new paradigm we don't come at the media landscape. I think the young journalists them for Anessa very seriously when they invite them for Kanaya. Yes. And I think saying I have some of the breaking news then for the Cambridge.
Definitely. And I make we come with you on the show for the very first edition. Make you just get an idea of what Stop Press was about and the new paradigm shift what they take now. This is a platform, like what you see, that's in one party with it was Shaka Stevens, it was opposition. Of course, it's not opposition. This is a partner with the state, bringing the stories, you know, unfettered, unadulterated, will bring and come as it is. Just give an analysis, just share your thoughts, your opinion, like how you say,
and give also an opportunity for know how the story they've been written.
Definitely, by the people who write the stories.
So because this is like a post-mortem situation where we self will go for be accountable to the people. We
definitely,
and when we be accountable, please the people who now follow we and support we because this is the only opportunity or space we have for make the ruling class or the political class know say they are not Sierra Leone or not to them get everything. Waiting they get now a loan where the people of Sierra Leone give them for letting them operate on with behalf. So when we the right or follow them, therefore understand say yes. You know we know they do it with malice, now in partnership and we do it in partnership with good conscience and Sierra Leone at heart.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Kevin Lamdo. There were two young men. We only put more price talk. Yeah, deliberately. I just use my pass. I'm sorry, but definitely we. Especially watch me laugh. Definitely we are coming. They can take a deep dive into the issues and the the stories making the headlines. And so soon I think say me technical team go to share the newspaper headlines. But charity begins at home. So I go start with we own paper we get in house. It's the Truth newspaper, and as we front banner headline, we have a couple of stories here. This is housing crisis grips Freetown. Grave shortage hits Freetown hard. Now the demand and where they are alive, the struggle for land. It's interesting. This other story says DNA to decide. 2 families claim baby. So 2 people then can't say that they or to get the baby will be lost. And we interview one set of family, the other family themselves they say, so I think a DNA no more for decide. And we see a picture here. Of Dr. Isaac Massacre, who is the chairman of SLFA Transition Committee. See, it like say VEX. SLFA Transition Committee flags deep governance and financial gaps. Those are stories on the Truth newspaper. We got a couple of other newspapers, and I shall see you going to see them on your screen as we go along. We'll take some other newspapers on the screen as we go along. So, me technical guy, I showed the newspaper there. We also get the newspapers here in the studios. We get the very hard copies, and as they go along with the papers that they show on the screen, I should say me guests then go they just flip through the headlines to already know the stories, the topical issues, and immediately I don't just go through them. We go get on to now, and we start the conversation going. So let's get some of the other headlines. Okay, so we get the Standard Times newspaper says here, it says fraudulent travel scheme, bold banner headline. Standard Times always get then gripping headlines then, either of corruption or some allegations. ACC investigates free education project secretariat. Those are stories on the Standard Times newspaper. And another paper, the Global Times newspaper, says all hail CTC Mining SL Limited. This one PR story for CTC. I don't know what they don't do, you know. Then we get a lot of other stories. Then we go on to the Concord Times newspaper. Its headline says only 205 megawatts generated as Sierra Leone needs 1,450 megawatts of electricity. We get the the picture of the big man himself, Kande Koleyom Kela. We are responsible for energy right now in the country. We also get the Night Watch newspaper. We don't get hard copy now. I don't know what's happening, but they always get very interesting headlines. We can't talk about this. Say Samoa Kama is next president in waiting. What do you mean? I really don't understand. But that's what the paper says. Then the Success newspaper says SLPP succession battle deepens. This is now the most prominent story, and two pictures are there of the chief minister and the mama of the nation, the first lady. So I don't know whether they also want to be president. I know, of course, for Dr. David saying presidential intentions. I don't know whether the Mambi don't talk it. I don't get officially it. Or maybe we'll hear from our analysts. Maybe then get an insight into that. Then, of course, Awoko newspaper has a lot of stories on the headline. Moped chiefs. So it's very small from where I'm standing. We got Awoko on the table, and I'm sure some of we analysts then will definitely give it. I might just take the hard copy. It's kind of slim, very small from the angle where they. So it says Moped chats the future of Sierra Leone's resettlement program in National Steering Committee meeting. You also get another story here which says Balamuya border post dominates Sierra Leone's multi-million-dollar informal trade. New data reveals. And of course, KKY in picture there against FCs. KKY receives Lifetime Leadership Award for championing Africa's renewable energy transformation. Interesting stories here. I don't know if we get any other newspaper. I think those are mostly the papers we have. We get a lot of, when I before I come on the show, I ask questions about people sending in newspaper front pages. I send down to the post office for get hard copies of newspapers, and I had way over 21 newspapers we just published today. And then it was huge for me. So I had to make a decision on which to take first, which to leave, and that shows that the landscape is growing. So I come on to my guests now. After the history of the stop press and what we intend to do here, I know say Lawrence gets a story pick. You have listened during the week, the most topical stories. Which of these stories stand out to you, and you think say you want more to talk about?
Well, I didn't see the story I'm interested in being published, because that's one of the major issues or events we happened last week. The dialogue on the division of Freetown
exactly
to cities, and where them gets now the FCC hall, and from reports coming in, from video footages I have seen, it suggests that majority of the people who were present in that hall denounce or reject the idea of splitting the city into two administrative zones or councils, if you like. And I think that has been a very sort of complex issues with a political undertone on the one hand, and of course you have some of us are concerned about the what could possibly have informed that decision. Taking into account population size, taking into account the economic activity of Freetown, and looking at also government budgets as well, in terms of allocating revenues or resources to local councils nationwide, not just the FCC alone, and government defaulting or rather delaying to actually disburse approved allocations to councils. I can tell you for a fact that for 2025, most, if not all, of the councils have not received a penny from their approved 2025 budget. We have also commenced the process for the 2026 budget. So you can imagine we are now in the third quarter of the year, and
how did they get backlog for last year?
We get backlog for last year. They will also get I call it 2025 your money no kite, which
kite,
means
yeah.
councils are cash strapped, stranded to implement their own programs.
Yeah.
Again, look at council own source revenue basis as well. Freetown City Council, give or take, has the largest own source revenue base because of the business concentration in Freetown. From a survey way statistics Sierra Leone, the way they map out the business enterprises them. We have about 165,000 registered businesses in Sierra Leone.
Yeah, all around the
including,
Freetown.
not for Sierra Leone.
For Sierra Leone,
Freetown.
okay.
Yes, 165.
Mostly within Freetown, yeah.
Thousand, and about less than 3% or so of those are corporations. About 70 something percent of that number now then petty businesses. I'll just try to get that because
Okay, definitely. Why should you try to forget
the data?
Exactly. Why should you try to
shortly.
forget the data, which Milek foresee very much. That story they be covered in several editions of newspapers. I think it happened on a Thursday. It was out on Friday. It was on various media platforms, social media now, websites, and I may definitely not make in way to the papers then this morning. But we'll come back and talk about the data. Still on that topic, there. Make I take Melvin. What are your own thoughts, your own views about this whole saga? Government and the ministry of in charge, local government ministry, is talking about, they talk, say not to necessarily divide Freetown. They say they want to get new, areas so that they will develop the city better. There's a rationale for that. But the mayor and people in Freetown, some people, we cannot say most or all people, everybody, then, are opposed to that. So why one get any form of division in Freetown? What's your take on an issue like that?
Well, if you look at the Local Government Act, it's clear as to what should precipitate such an action, and that should be also okayed by the Minister of Finance in consultation. Yeah. So if you're having a situation where in ministries, departments, and agencies, in this case councils, are starved from their allocated or approved budget allocation, it already speaks to the economics of or the cost of having such a decision. So I think if that's what the law says, I look forward to the reports from the Ministry of Finance as to why they've qualified, why they are on the verge of qualifying. But it's good that this is a listening government, you will say in this case, because they had wanted to just bulldoze or caterpillar their way on with this. But we saw, spontaneous, instantaneous objections coming from the mayor and some quarters, which forced, in my opinion, the government to finally dialogue and engage on the issue. So you can say, on one hand, the government is listening, though it's a bit reactive. I think this ought to have come before now. It's like putting the cart before the horse, or whatever. It's been reversed, and now that the engagements are there, we look forward to the blueprints of what. It's not about what people said. It's about how it's documented and reported. We've heard that, when there are these tripartite engagements on what kind of electoral system is to be used. Openly, publicly, vocally, people have said, no, that is just one side for it. But the records there should be what is documented, but as a follow-up or aftermath of these engagements. So for me, it's good people have expressed themselves. We know, at least for the public record, that some people have expressed opposition to the proposition. But for me, I look forward to how it's documented and what's next. What next from on the reports or on the engagements on the topic? What's going to be the recommendations? And I think that's what the governance architecture will call for in such a case. But it's clear now that it is a divisive, it's a controversial issue. Yeah. It's arguable.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll come to Mr. Lamdo. I know say Lawrence, they flip through the figures. You can give some of the figures roughly. Lamdo, what you make of this entire thing? You have two sets now. The Freetown City Mayor and some people in Freetown being opposed to it. Government thinks this is the best way to develop the city of Freetown.
Well, actually, it's a shame that government's not able to which them for do force. This is not a big deal, not a strange thing or anything. Now, the manner which they communicate first, because I'm a communication expert, so I know it at the talk. Yeah. The manner in which they communicate, and I didn't get everything wrong, because the reality is let's say next door, Guinea, Conakry, now one city. But you get 5 mayors, 5. Then divide the city into mayoral councils. 5. You get Kaloum, then the Conakry one, Usai, na the seat of power there and all. You get Dixon, you get Matam, you get Atoma, then you get Matutu. All the area, they get the mayor, they take care of business. Because before then, we be not say Guinea have been one of the tier cities there, with all due respect. But by then, the way we reach the way them get that kind of division. Everybody they get in your area now. They take your revenue in your area. May I tell you one big mistake we first we do. I really they feel for government where government they give money to councils. I'm telling you this. Government for just for bailout council when maybe something unforeseen circumstances the neighbor make money. May I tell you, the kind property that we did in Salonia, you know what I make you know? The former mayor about George Williams. A lock stadium in get for pay 100 and something million. A lock stadium in not reach 2 days. They pay. A lock one big office. I think I don't know if not been too many something like hotel stuff. I think Usai UN Binde, Radisson Blue, that's it call it Mamioko. A lock day, then pay. Where money they the council they just sit down now they wait for the government give them money. I swear, because the way then they carry that demand note for city rate. You understand it? Also then they way Asabi, way some for pay 2 million, some for pay 1 million, some for man they go collect their money then they make fake receipts like na council. But na council workers actually. This na allegation, but na big time allegation.
Yeah.
If they see us for, if they see us for
allegation.
It's a stop thing. You understand?
Because
Council,
come
no, they get them
so you don't go left me for begin clarify. It's an allegation.
Council, they
Yeah.
know they get them money.
The council hear this, they get the right to say, okay, we want to respond to this.
Truly
No problem.
speaking,
Yeah.
this is an opportunity for letting can now, maybe Wednesday edition, we can talk about it, where some of the evidence themselves, sometimes people in the go pull them in terms of interactivity. If they send, how they call it, comments to the comment section, they go agree with me. Many people in there have over 5 years now, they don't pay city rate or property tax. Now all a few businesses the way they upfront we put them they come up say okay we pay because of accountability. You understand? But then private homes there, beaucoup they pay. And look the way they say beaucoup new homes they come up and all the rest of it. Then they get all kinds of. So this is the problem. Council for able to raise the money then they. But now you want to tell me say from City Hall, you able to go to Ogu Bridge, you able to go to this place Levuma for collect the money then they don't get a chance. So if they're able to divide this thing, you understand, they make 1 mayor day at this end. It will be so active and proactive at the end, then the other end at the other end. They go do very well. And that's the two cultures of Freetown.
So the Kagawa million.
We get 2 cultures in Freetown. We all sabi. Who were they in between sabi? We get the down to tendency. They get up yonder tendency. And that's what the Freetown divide. You get up yonder. Then they inside.
So in your opinion, it will make sense.
Then
We'll just
they
get
inside, yes, for make up. But the way they do one, they don't consult better. If they consult better, a lot of people will talk. Man, tell you, who will come on Eastern, who like who style, who know how self, who sabi cancel there, who sabi talk to them, then sabi we Western cancel there, who not sabi self. Eastern, they so you know they are compatible. They know themselves, they know their style. If you give them their own mail, then they work with them properly, and then they clean Eastern. But you know where you City Hall, you clean Eastern. When they see you come up City Hall, then they see you like stranger. Where you to go Eastern? Eastern different, no? Eastern and get all waiting and connected with. Me as Abi, I don't want to talk. But Western, we sabi them. Now you have people in the Western show the Bina Stadium, then they show an IYV, then they show an SLBC, then go tune, then watch out, then they go there. But people in the common Eastern, they full up stadium, ping. So then when they're ready for Tomba, go Eastern now, they go and pay themselves.
Okay, make I bring Lawrence. Lawrence, give me the figures then. You know, because the debate has been about the size of Freetown, about the GDP and other figures we informed this decision. But then Lamdo will talk about Guinea. Again, an example, and Guinea is a very, very big country compared to Freetown is small. So he thinks that then figures and they really are rational behind, you know, the having different localities in Freetown, or as one of our guests said quite recently, in your opinion, maybe it's just about politics, just about having, more mayors then, and because we of course know, say, the mayor of Freetown is APC. She's a member of the opposition, and they always get challenged for work, along the ruling party and the opposition. So what's the rationale? The figures, do they speak to government's position for get new localities in Freetown?
Now, from Kelvin in perspective, it might suggest that it seems plausible or rational, but I would actually decline respectfully. Now, from statistics loans data, we have about 165,514 business establishments in the economy, right? 70% of that number is micro and informal enterprises. And 91% of all businesses operate as sole proprietorship. That's one. Secondly, I remember reading this book, The Master Key, written by Sir Fandel. It teaches one how to maximize wealth, how to stay healthy and everything. One of the arguments presented is that banks don't need to actually employ advisors. The argument is that if banks are able to put very strict policies in place and adhere to those policies, you don't need advisors. Actually, it's a waste of resources. Now, Kelvin in point is that the city don't big. Of course, in terms of number, Freetown has grown. Despite the last census they tell we see, Freetown gets less than 800,000 population. But the census before that suggests or show we say Freetown population is over 1 million. Okay. Now, the GDP of Freetown is small. The economy in Freetown, you go say Freetown I get the largest economy, but even at that, it's small. It's small, yeah. Of course, I will agree with him point that councils have not been doing much in terms of mobilizing own source revenue. They have been relying or depending on central governments to fund councils' activities, which is not supposed to be the case. Council gets a lot of sources for raised revenue. So
probably government don't really try for shoulder the burden and the responsibility.
Take the market them alone first. Every day, they market 2 money, they buy that ticket or whatever. All the markets, if you take down the alone first, I mean, it's just that we have not been somehow effective in terms of holding council responsible. You know, most times we rather pay attention to the central government instead of actually focusing on local councils as well. But how could that change? Eastern get the mayor or Eastern get their own council will not change anything. What we need are efficient workers. We need for strengthening the institutions them, make sure say they get workers them, we actually get integrity and able for actually go about. Because when you look at the councils, when you look at the Freetown, you have the mayor. The mayor is just a person. I mean, you get the councillors them. When they make up the legislative chamber of the council. Then councillors there, they all represent their wards. Each ward gets a ward development committee. And all of these ones are also divided into zones or clusters. So the idea is not about what mayor is doing, it's about what councillors are doing, what development committees are doing. Because these are structures established at what level?
Then they bring another complex layer to all the discussions. Because now we have the PR system. As I sit here, I know things are not than me, councillor. I see lists. I'm not really certain, so I don't even know who I should hold accountable for my specific word. So this man.
No, can't do that.
So that's another thing.
Because that's another thing for you. That was one reason why I was not supportive of the PR system. Anyways. Because I don't know me councillor, I don't know me member of parliament. Because these are district representatives.
I really want to bring Melvin into this conversation. And interestingly, I know Melvin for take position. She's either left or right. But in the entire discussion, Melvin is taking a center ground. You know, we don't get two opposing views. you seem to take a sense at ground. Is it that you believe anything is possible? Now, two very good ideas there. We can or we cannot. Depends on how you look at it.
Well, I think the essence, I mean, for having this tripartite kind of panel is not
Our own small tripartite.
it's not for two to go against one or it's for me. I think it's basically a conversation, and you can put forward the arguments, and I don't need
Definitely.
to overemphasize the point. You can argue as much as you want as to whether it's economically prudent or not. But for me, I think what the law says goes a long way. And in this case, if you look at the government's promises on yes, this government promised to divide certain communities. It's clearly in the manifesto. But the way they are going about it, I think that is going to be the issue of debate. And if you put that in tandem with the economics of the time, again, somebody would easily argue that it cannot be okay. But apparently, where does that, leave the aspect of whether do we need to, departmentalize the city or unbundle the city, or do we need to be thinking about having another city? Because at the end of the day, even if you deconstruct communities or you reconstruct them as the case may be, or the government delocalizing communities, the fact remains, will it solve the existing problems? Because if you're going to establish a new community and you've not mapped out, for example, aspects of having a cemetery or having a football field or having a community center or a church or a mosque, if you don't have all those things readily available in existing communities and you're trying to create more communities, if you look at theories around these kind of actions, it's about the resentment it creates at the end of the day, because somebody's going to feel like, oh, somewhere has been empowered over some other aspect. So all of those considerations should be considered. But again, I don't all brief for government. And by the way, you are totally right. I just want to be neutral. Tomorrow is my birthday. And I don't think I want to be brutally brutal. But the fact remains.
Is it part of the cost of speaking truth to power?
we don't be a done. Either it's down, it's fear no fall, So that is just reality. But the fact remains, the government's calendar is so overwhelmed. Talking about a constitutional review process, talking about census, talking about now redistricting, and all of these. Talking about plans ahead of the elections, talking about implementation of tripartite. These are not cost. These are cost-intensive national activities.
Definitely, yeah.
And if you are going to do them in tandem with time, for example, I look forward whether this session of Parliament will finally address the constitutional review issue. Talking about also a referendum on that involves money, and you're talking about creating new communities. I don't know who is advising this government on its priorities, but it seems as if they are prioritizing certain things that should be considered secondary. Because you have so many big issues.
So Mel, we'll come to you, make you just give your own pick of this week and discuss. But you mentioned a couple of very interesting things, and on the morning devotion this morning, I'm gonna pick on a couple of things. See Bengon, they show pictures of Bengon, the way clustered, Space Not again. So man, they sell Bengon. There's a school east end of Freetown. Don't sell the school, the field where the people they get for play. It's been sold to somebody who wants to come and put a warehouse there. So we got all these complexities there for deal with, and now we have other things, and it seems to be overwhelming on government. So maybe we're gonna need for sit down and get some kind of strategic direction. So can we prioritize this? This more left and first, or this after election, or things like that. So what's your pick? What's your most topical and most interesting?
I will not talk politics.
Discussion for the week.
I will pick this issue. For the week. This has been a running story. This will be a developing story. This might lead to a breaking story, and it's an extant story that should not be ignored. And for my simple summary, it will be the fact that, like APC, like SLPP, like 5 years tenure in the APC constitution, like 5 years tenure in the SLPP's constitution, like radical exclusion in the APC. I'm sensing radical exclusion also in the SLPP. So the story says KKY eyes SLPP flag bearer. That is not news. And by the way, let me just come. The essence of, stop press, by the way, that's my suggestion. We need, since this is the Maiden edition, we need to be telling our viewers and listeners the editorial biases of some of these newspapers.
No, I really.
We need to the essence of media review.
Let me say this, Melvin.
I know
let me say this. We can critique the papers. You can have your opinion on the papers, but we really cannot tell somebody what to.
No, well then we'll be doing a disservice because the best international best,
and I think
the international best
on national security.
You know that.
I can speak on that.
This panel is going to agree
but
with me. But
not just say it's that person's editorial, but you can criticize.
Yes,
them.
the edit.
Objectively,
You can't objectively. You can't do justice to a newspaper without telling where it's leaning. Even in the West, hold on, let me learn. If it changes, then we should be able to use incidents and antecedents to tell whether, as in the case, for example, we'll say Guardian in the UK, how they've shifted over time. You have issues they've switched ideologies on. For me, I think it will be important for us to tell our viewers as to the editorial biases of newspapers. If you look at
these viewers already know.
No. We are assuming that they know.
So as far as me concerned,
For me, as an analyst,
I tell viewers.
All right,
say,
let me just conclude.
This is this paper. We own Times and Unity. The other papers, we know the people who own them. We know the editorials.
So
people can read it.
So for God's sake, can you tell me whether the exclusive is left wing, right wing, or centrist?
I wouldn't give you.
So that's why it's important.
Not too clear in our politics here.
No. We're not playing politics. It's a media review, okay? Yeah. So if I will assume
opinion,
the
it's not even
exclusive,
news, which is good. Yeah.
I will assume the exclusive is a centrist. I will assume. I stand to be correct.
That's my assumption as well.
So it's important that we state some of these because by the time we'll be coming to awareness times, nobody will going back to say left wing.
But it's so obvious.
That's important.
Everybody knows it.
Let's talk about it. Let's see how we do.
There is a paragraph here.
Before you progress, I read these Kovac and Rosenthal in their book Elements of Journalism. These were one of the earliest journalists. They argue that the journalist is not independent, but rather the processes through which the news is produced could now be analyzed, looked at to be determined whether it were objective or
definitely.
otherwise.
And the fact that remains, corporate interest has changed journalism over time.
Very much. Even in the West.
Even in the West.
Melvin, stick to your pick for the week.
All right, my pick will be...
Journalism is not under scrutiny here, please.
Tell him and say, I don't confront a BBC. You remember you were there?
Yeah.
We confronted her about the stance of the BBC, relating to the Middle East. How BBC framed their reportage concerning issues in the Middle East. And then
she did not like it.
She the person let me let her. You understand? Let's look at the news. That's why Al Jazeera can for give a fresh perspective.
And you know why Al Jazeera is bad?
More look at you thought on that story. Then.
All right, thank you very much for censoring me. There's a killer paragraph. It's a story written on page 2 of the exclusive newspapers with the headline KKY eyes SLPP flag bearer. Of course, that's not a new news, but what is new there is that the writer David Jabati, a very senior colleague of ours, I used to know him at AYV, very senior colleague. There's a third to last paragraph that is very interesting, and that I will tie to my earlier supposition that there is radical exclusion taking place right now, or on the brewing in the SLPP. It says, while Dr. Yumkeller's contribution have been substantial, he also faces hurdles as there are party membership controversies and there have been questions raised about his formal registration status with the SLPP in some party quarters, whether his membership was properly certified and whether he meets rules about residency or years of membership required for flag bearer contestants. For me, I think this paragraph says it's all about the fate of
So my question is, what is not objective about that writing? I don't know. I've not read the entire.
No, I have not said the publication is not
okay,
objective.
okay.
I think we agree that
But yeah, he's pitching the stop pressing that.
Okay.
That is radical exclusion.
that's my critic.
I get you.
So, of course, like I said, it's a sensitive newspaper, and I think this is a fairly objective. It gives two sides of the personality or the arguments around him.
Yeah.
And I think the good thing about this publication, it's spotting pertinent, poignant, and relevant issues around what will become his fate come 2028. So this is a perfect piece, I would say. And the issue number one, it says whether it meets membership requirements for flag bearer contestants, which I earlier on said should be 5 years. And looking at the time, he was, readmitted again. You will have to do the mathematics. But the fact there remains, the constitution of the SLPP says if you're coming again, you are coming as an ordinary member. And you should have, if you have to go for that leadership position, you should have served 5 years. So the bottom line there is, which is, in my estimation, an exclusion, is that the constitution of Sierra Leone, if put in tandem with the APC and SLPP constitution, it's not in sync. They've created conditionalities that the national constitution does not substantiate.
Yeah.
So for me, I think like APC, like SLPP, if the constitution does not state 5 years in this case for somebody to be qualified as a president, other than qualifying for being a citizen, I see it as a radical exclusion in a party that is calling itself.
Melvin,
He's asking, do you agree or disagree?
No, you have done justice to this particular issue. So it brings me now, but I can't really talk. It don't bring me now to the Right Honorable Ibrahim Bundu, one argument where I see, and I won't go take me 1991 constitution and read them. Oh my God, then two political parties here, then they do bad. You know what I say so? The national constitution, it give plain condition how you gonna be a flag bearer in Sierra Leone, and nothing but 5 years. And just guess what? Even cannot be even do 5 years in Sierra Leone, where he contest as presidential candidate for NGC, not so sir. And there was no objection. He go through the nominations. Nobody no objector. He win. He contest. Then there are many other people who don't contest election that will not be ever done there for 5 years safe. And then party not even reach 2 years. Some man in party now 1 year I don't do. You understand? They go into election. They accept that. So why SLPP and APC for different? For go add 5 years where the country say. So now the legal luminaries of this country should help us, because when I remember the time where Fitzgerald been do a write up about Tusim in the APC, where lawyer Gabi
don't take up
that thing. He do a very succinct article where people are able to understand, where make a lot of people just drop their campaign and go back and they country they even come out. And when I even done a lead self to KKY for go relinquish in US citizenship and come clean for able.
So Lamlo, mostly I think say it takes us again to the judiciary, the trust for the judiciary, which is very shaky. We all know. Because now things like this, possibly take go to courts. Because now the Supreme Court get the rights for tell we say this is constitutional, interpret the constitution. So if they interpret and say this clause exclude person, they are against the constitution.
No, reach with an court. The court of public opinion self is very pertinent, and we the media actually we for lead the process. And the good thing is we get good partners in the legal profession, because a lot of we journalists say we're not lawyer there.
So we just hope this is like
so
case
we
of
just
Supreme
hope say
Court.
this top press cable change a whole face, because that's what's going on in me. Because we they open things them where no one they open, and this particular way Melvin pull so now a massive something, because this they talk about the destiny of a country and the quality of people away for contest election.
And I think say Melvin, it's good. It's very nice should be and help. Like a lot of people they look up to you at the media, because this is a Supreme Court where a Supreme Court judge don't cry to the media for justice. Imagine what's the way now they give justice. Says I've been marginalized, in human rights and things like that.
You don't give me
So for so it's good we are bringing it up. We could have this conversation. No, take your own pick. Like time now. Take your own pick. What's your pick?
I really want to weigh in on this subject.
Okay, quickly.
I hold a
1 minute time.
contrary
Quickly,
view
then,
to what my colleagues are suggesting.
Okay.
The Constitution, as the gun norm, set a precedent, the benchmark for qualifications to contest for the office of the president.
Yeah.
We all know that there is a process for the emergence of flag bearer at political party levels.
Yeah.
Now, the constitution already don't set a requirement that for you, where they call you know for be convicted for fraud or dishonesty, 40 years above, blah blah blah, etc. But nothing stops the political parties to bring in my view, other requirements which, in their view, could able for let them shift
as early as now I disagree.
to see if I'm coming.
I disagree because
I know, but
any law,
I know. You are bringing in
any law
that contravenes that provision to the extent of the what? No, don't I mean, you read law, right? It said to the extent of what the contravention will be declared null and void. Now, in this case, for instance, for mayoral, for anyone contest for councillor, blah, blah, blah. There are all conditions in the various political parties. They act where they say if you don't be 1 year, membership, continuous membership, paid up, and blah, 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 and everything. So all of these ones are layers. For you were interested in the flag bearer of the two political parties. If the constitution of those parties don't say you for one day at least 5 years, you know what to make it? What to make they actually bring them provisions and they now for in my view now for prevent a situation where somebody could just come up from the blues. He is not even abreast to the party's ideology. You get me? Just kind of say because there is that free for all and they can't contest.
Well, so let's allow independent candidates work out for president.
Simple.
So it's simple. What I'm saying.
Yeah.
The provisions in the except it has to be tested at the constitutional court. You get me? The Supreme Court go and interpret whether these provisions actually at variance with the 1991 Constitution to such a large extent that it should be declared null and void. Yeah. Otherwise, in my view, the political parties having voted and they don't pass the law, the constitution, they don't gazette them, it don't become law and everything. I think it is just unfair that political parties also have these requirements so that they're able to perceive and present the best of mankind for contest for the presidency. One of the reasons why people they suffer today, I mean, for a very long time. Not because we get so many people that we know if you fit to be president.
We live on managed side. No, I mean, more cancel. Please, more cancel. Lamu. Let's have your pick. We are trying to manage.
No pick na truth newspaper.
Okay.
Now you asking. Housing crisis deepens. Graves short. So I take the two as one story. The living and the dead, all man is.
It's local media for defend me in case
really, this story makes so much sense. Na Sierra Leone. I really don't know what's really the wrong with we, where people know or the government. Me not going to like for say government too much because I don't want
now we not government.
I don't want bring the
parties
perspective because now we not the government. Now we they bring them. Now we want be controversial against them as well. But people really need for take Freetown City Council get properties, housing properties around the city. You know that?
Yeah.
Then get what have they done to develop that place there? For where we get more than buildings there where people are able to forget for rent. I think they know they pass on the tenancy from father to child, etc. Because this one set of people maybe they don't die, they can kill and don't left there and say they go. So there's a problem where we know they do for innovate how we go able to change the housing sector. Why we need for even go spread, say they go BNB Peninsula, they go and catch Goma Valley land, they go and fight for bill. Bungalow day, we so say na 2 green day on 3 day. Also day as a bios they waiting up that inside in the well nobody know they did one green caretaker. Now 1 green day they open they make party for people and they go make pool party, house party. Na net. It don't.
Every minister getting belts.
Middle the city na yeah. Middle the city na. Also then they went at 3 women pala we still get pit latrine. Then still they inside the city. Nobody know they make any move for improve the one in the 2-story building. We go make housing problem less na the town. Then the worst case scenario, the Bengon, the management of the Bengon is nothing to write home about. But any of them in there, as you begin pick and so, the political angle will come quick is showing aid. And as it's showing aid, so it's not about the livelihood of people anymore now. It's about political survival. Then they change the argument. Then the politician they easily have them say. Because this is what is going on. Even this particular topic, we'll first take about the division of Freetown. You understand it? If the politician they not been take the lead, if they be left in a civil society there or ordinary people as well.
Exactly.
People if don't take an Ukraine and Sika for all one without speed. Now because it is initiated by politicians, they make politicians have the kick against, they build cabal for canting up against. But when me tell you say, no matter what, either late, by 2028, no way no the way Freetown will turn up as one single council, no matter whose government survive. You know able because the what's it called? So coming back to this housing is tied down back to the planning of the city. Because there is so much waste of land inside the city. We don't even know how for user and so the people that were interested we know how for user. They don't begin showing. So the Indians there. Watch me. The Indians.
I actually make a plan for buy me land and make me bungalow. I want no acre of land, flat one. I waste there.
You always because you always a lot of people no go benefit from, and that very bungalow they no go pay property rate to council. The council no go get money. The council sit on back. They wait back
Makes
for
sense.
government.
Definitely.
For government they get money from people in taxes. You know almost tax evasion they take place in Salo. Where journalists and talk about that, they look you by the eye. Tax evasion they take place massively. So we the ordinary we own tax. Now really they run the country. But the big corporations they evade. So there is no strategic thinking in terms of how to address this housing and Bengal problem. We will need for catch a one area. Because then there's a Ben come out na parliament. That would be campus na model secular road. You understand? That place the government for just buy that property where they na that end day and just demolish them and just open and make an spread. Because if you see the concentration of school going children and people who want to go up college, where they all is talking and the defense transport, this and that, it is literally the policeman and you see they overwhelmed. Because you can't knock poda for let move, but people in the load. And justifiably people in need for load na the poda. But the poda not get better side for park. And need for block the traffic. And we block the traffic, be where they rush for canal na this program at the sofa. So you don't see where strategic thinking not even they take place. It's just political thinking all over the place. So stop rest. Don't use this.
It's been an interesting conversation. The only sad thing about
now for scatter the government business now in the media perspective.
Definitely. The only sad thing, we get so many issues to discuss, very little time. As we go along, this is the premier edition, we'll find time to maybe extend our time, have more time, discuss the issues better, and get a much more interactive program with our listeners. I want
for that extension of time.
Exactly. So I want to take the last pick. Please permit me. My own pick. I not see the hard copy. It's the Night Watch newspaper. And the Night Watch newspaper says Samuel Kamara is president in waiting. I don't read the story in detail, so I don't want to make an assessment based on that. But if the story is objective, Samuel Kamara can go on and lead the APC again to elections. It's well and good. But for most of the time when they hit story like this, it's very divisive. It speaks to things the way they touch on borders, on even national security. Because if a tripartite committee is going on, the APC are the main opposition. Don't agree say this, it don't done. So now 2028 we prepare for. Then we still have traditional media practitioners where they say no, they can't over this more tomorrow. It creates some kind of confusion, even to people the way they look at we as professionals. If it was on social media, I'm cool with it. Anything can pass on social media, but this is traditional media, guys. Just quickly as we wrap up, what do you think? What do you make of it? Are these the stories we want on our front pages?
There is an approach towards such reportage. It's called the sandwiching approach. Okay. All right, where they tell you say, for correct fake news, what you do, you don't rebut first. Okay. What you do, you sandwich the truth. You tell the truth, you correct the lie, and tell the truth again. That is called the sandwiching approach. So what is the lie?
Do that?
I mean, and for in this case, I think like you are saying, for stop race, we have a duty to go beyond what just is written. and asking question from what source.
Yeah.
I was hosting Abdullah Warise last night, and I asked him for specific questions on my Brutally Frank show. And he was not able to say when and where, for example, they are purporting that Mada don't sign with Samoa, say then it's transition.
Yeah.
He could not say that. So I told him, you cannot water down the conversation. Then talking they na in the no use to care and mislead people na places like party office. We have a duty morally as journalists.
Yeah.
You know, I will talk to one of these professor guy. He says, Melvin, back to what we talk about earlier on, that whether journalism can be objective or subjective. And this prof is saying, Melvin, if Melvin and Kelvin they argue now, say rain the car, you not journalist, una the inside room, then you go find out say rain not the cam. You do it now for waiting as a journalist. Now for can say Kelvin say rain the car, Melvin say rain the car, you stop there. No. You have a duty to set the record straight by but setting the facts straight. In this case, that newspaper can be rebutted, can be debunked, because there is no documents to the effect. There is nothing tangible for say Mada Biodika hand over power to Samoa. On what basis? I guess the conversation, if we want for amplified conversation, is about the fate of Samoa Kamara. Now that he has been removed as chief negotiator, he's been removed from tripartite. There are issues around him being removed from office instead of him, according to the provisions of that 56 in their constitution, relinquishing his position. So, in fact, if I am part of the APC think tankers, I should be asking myself, is Samoa Kamara qualified? Because if by law,
always they volunteer for give free advice.
I mean, it's for the you know, a formidable opposition. You cannot have a government without a formidable opposition. They are a government in waiting. Yeah. So by now they should be asking Samoa, based on the provisions of the Constitution of 2022, they say 6 months after you contest a loss, you for relinquish. So in the case where he not do that, is he qualified? So these are the issues around Samoa. But again, the way the APC has treated him, as the APC treated him with the respect he deserves. If you are removing him as the chief negotiator, who then? You are replacing with Dr. Mara, who refused to sign the agreement for national unity. And the APC never,
that's their internal
the APC
party
never asked him as to why he never signed. He was part of the delegation, 6 or 7 man delegation to the tripartite, to the agreement for national unity. He refused to sign. And nobody asking, and now they are replacing him with Samoa, and they are saying that they want a fresh
Melvin, you know,
movement.
They get the discussions before they take the decision. According to them, they get in discussion, then talk to Samoa Kamara, they talk to the other people then. So we cannot preempt.
You don't see Samoa statement?
We don't know. I don't see
a spokesman put out a statement attacking not only the Secretary General, attacking the current leader of the party, calling their names.
In subsequent editions, we'll take a deep dive into the issues. I'm sure you develop as the weekly go along. Lawrence, you want to speak to that quickly?
The point when we go on to, I will left the politics for the APC because Anis Kwame saying the Calabante party.
Do I talk? For can give some consultation fee and all for some advice, PR advice and things.
But
like
from
that.
a media perspective, we owe a duty to inform the public accurately, and if journalists or the media, they continuously put out stories suggesting that President Julius Maada Bio will vacate office and hand over power to Samoa Kamara, then we are not being fair. In fact, I don't know how to describe them in with journalism ethics. I don't know which, but that's a complete lowering of the standards to the lowest low. I mean, and I don't question they can use now for paints the media.
Exactly.
So, but now journalists come on now they say this now they say that. So yeah. So and I'm telling you, in my community, I got people away. There are few die hard APC supporters away. They go tell them family say, una no see una voter ID card, una me go vote. That people don't say una friend and back. He said because he said we go for can't conduct the election back. So while he was saying all of that, then I stepped in and corrected. I said no. I said election done. I said the only opportunity the APC had at that time when the elections results were announced was to go to the court Let the court determine
And
whether
the APC of itself, then spokesman and the APC don't talk say, we are planning for 2028
Can
elections.
you believe
Why would anybody else
the
think would they get any other
response?
elections?
The word way then tell me, I not go talk na because na some kind of vulgar language or whatever. But the kind cost the way I get from that and they was set months per that talk day and not get them people in there in time. Let them go about and find the way they call it. Then they say back the other one come meet me. Hey, so when they happen, that's the way we been talking. Then I say, I say, pa, no mixing pa na talk.
As we wrap up.
Yeah, as we wrap
Let's pick up on that
up,
next
as we wrap up, Lord, be careful. That particular talk, they don't allegedly lead to an assault. Two people may talk on that particular Samoa issue there, and I think how do you call a plane to come up? Nado don't
The exchange blue.
allegedly. I see somebody in neck there under a POP.
Wow, okay.
This is how terrible. Telling a lie, sticking to it, and amplifying it, and progressing with it, they cause serious problem for we.
And the media contributing to that.
Would they contribute to? But do
That's sad.
yeah, even if there's some depends what they can.
Yeah, because
but
what
what they
depends,
do,
it
this
might-
is an opportunity, Christian. In closing, I think we not give vote of thanks now media, but this could look like a one that God bless this opportunity don't present itself again. Because it mean they, more it mean die.
There's a breaking
But-
story coming in, Kelvin. The Sierra Leone government noticed the media team of the judiciary of Sierra Leone shall forthwith no longer engage the press or media houses on the suspension of justice.
Melvin?
Alan Diallo.
Melvin.
This is
That's one now. We'll discuss it in subsequent editions.
No, yeah, that's
When we
fine.
get
About.
Now, I'm coming.
I'm closing. I'm
Melvin.
closing now.
Allow me on my show.
I'm closing. My closing is that we lucky for don't get this opportunity. And even without we not discuss her, there's an opportunity for let this message don't go out now.
Yeah, sure.
Instantaneously. So people don't know. They don't hear it. So even if we continue to man now, at least people will begin for make a decision or begin for think around why should this happen and wait.
Definitely.
So please, management and staff of Truth Media.
Thank you very much, Mr. Amu. Thank you very much, gentlemen,
We
for
look
being
forward
on the
for
show.
more
Yes,
opportunities, yeah.
definitely. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being on the show. It's been an interesting conversation. We'll expand this conversation. We're here again on Wednesday and on Friday, 11 to 12. We might have a trick in the time as we go along, but it's been very, very engaging, very informative. And that breaking news day, we'll follow up on that news. We'll definitely discuss it. We just know how to discuss it, like, as the program goes along. You know, there are a lot of implications, a lot of things, and they will get for verify and, get sure of. So thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me on the show. I've had three, guests here. I've had Kelvin, Lamdo, when I was senior colleague. I've had Lawrence Williams, and of course, the ever-ready Melvin Sijan Mansai. I can tell I say the Maiden drive the parliament. They still not call it the parliament. But it's been interesting talking to each one of you. And, keep listening to Truth Media, Truth Radio, 103.9 FM. My name is Christian Conte, and this is Stop. I do have a lovely, wonderful afternoon, and keep listening to us.
I hope that our visitors would listen to this song carefully, because it's true. They're trying their best to stop our progress with bad propaganda. I mean the foreign press.